Welcome to the Golf Rules Questions, your questions answered, number 5. Looks like we got some viewers already straight away. Now, I must apologise. I had my second vaccination yesterday for COVID, and I was in bed all day, so not feeling great. But I can't not do the live stream Thursday night, 8:30 Australian daylight savings time. Got to remember that. So definitely ask your questions away, and we'll try and get through this fairly quickly. So Justin, fan favourite of mine, Justin, told me that my microphone or my focus wasn't great last week with the cam and the microphone. It seems the camera seems to focus on the microphone. Now I've got autofocus on my face, so hopefully that works, Justin. But who knows? Give me the feedback as always. And I think this week it's low latency, so I still haven't gone to the normal, which is the little bit higher latency, a little bit better quality, just because I don't want to get too many delays. I think the delays and the freezing is probably worse than me looking a bit blurry, but give me your feedback on that. Morning, Jerry. I love how, this is the main reason that I got up, Jerry. This is the main reason that I had to do this, your questions answered, because I knew you would be here, and I said, if Jerry can get up at 5 o'clock or 5:30 to watch me, then I have no excuse. So thank you, Jerry, for being on board. James, hi Blake, hope you're feeling better, mate. Second dose is always a bit... Yeah, it's been interesting, James. I don't know what you guys have got, or if you've got one. The people that say they got AZ, AstraZeneca, the first one seemed to be worst, whereas the ones that have got the mRNA type, the second one seems to be worse. But we're not here to talk about COVID and vaccines. We're hoping that we all get back to normal soon enough. Right, so Justin, not only did he talk about my mic and my camera being a little bit blurry, but he also asked a question. Now, there's a golf show in Australia, your golf show. Got a pro and another golfer. It's pretty good. And they did a video on a ball moving when you have a practice swing. And they said there was no penalty if it was on the putting green, which is correct if it was accidental. So it doesn't matter how you accidentally moved your ball and whether it was marked or not. It doesn't matter whether it was marked or not. If it was accidental, then you don't get penalised and you just replace your ball. Whereas if it was deliberate, picking your ball up without first marking it is deliberate. It might have been an accident, but it wasn't accidental. It was a deliberate action. I reckon I might have to do a video on that. So we'll see how we go. I've got a bit of time at the moment to create some videos. So yeah, I want to get into sort of doing some match play stuff because no one really seems to cover that. So Justin, thank you very much for your question. Now I had another question from Wooloo sorry if I've stuffed up that pronunciation. Wooloo. It's in New South Wales, which is a state in Australia. Hi mate, interesting one. If you can help, player hits ball into a large ornamental tree that's marked as GUR. So when they say ornamental, it's actually a real tree, but it's not native to the area. Someone just decided to plant it, and it's got flowers and it's kind of pretty, but this one looked fairly bushy. Anyway, it's marked as GUR. I don't know why you would mark a tree as GUR. I saw the photo, so it wasn't like it was for your health and safety. It wasn't look like it was going to fall over. It looked about 2 meters high max, or maybe 2.5. and it was just a bushy tree. Anyway, marker and partner see it fly into the tree. Okay, great. We've got some facts there. We know that the ball flew into the tree. We look up in the tree and around the edge, can't find it, but as we all saw it go in, agreed it was lost in the GUR, player dropped, finished out hole and made bogey. Then 1 minute after the group in front find the ball, group in front, group in behind, whatever, 10 metres from where we looked, would this be a wipe or would the 5 stand? So as long as Wooloo Golf, as long as they had 95% virtual certainty that the ball had stayed in the tree and it's GUR, then taking a free drop is the correct rule under Rule 16.1. Shouldn't guess, but I will. E. 16.1E. I think 16.1F is no play zones. 16.1E is ball lost in abnormal course condition. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. So, first of all, I don't know why the tree is GUR, but, whatever area it is, or whatever it is, and it's been deemed GUR by the committee, then, if it's lost if the facts are that it was lost in that GUR, then you get a free drop out of that. You substitute in another ball. The reference point is the last spot it went into, the last spot you saw it go into, or crossing that edge into the GUR. From that spot, you work out your nearest point of complete relief, which is, it's quite an interesting. Well, what's your reference point? Well, the reference point is the last spot, but then you've got to work out your nearest point of complete relief. So different to, say, a penalty area where last point it crossed into, that is where you take your 2 club links. Actually, I totally forgot. But just an observation. Please ask me the question. Go for it. But in the meantime, I had an IVOR last week. Now, for those of you who don't know what an IVOR, it's basically either where I mispronunciate something. Oh, that's right. I remember last year I mispronounced the word mispronounce. Oh, and now I can't even remember. It's like a U instead of an O, and I say it with an O, and it should be a U. It's like pronunciation, not pronunciation. Sorry. Anyway, hopefully I haven't cocked that up again. Right, so I was talking to Fraser, and he said that you had an IVOR last week. Now I've just got to find it. So the one where Stuart had a question about you hit your one off the tee, provisional, find your original after 3 minutes, so it's a lost ball, and then you take an unplayable for that. Then what you've actually done is you've taken an unplayable for the provisional. And I added an extra shot, and yeah, it wasn't an extra shot. When you hit the ball, that was when you get to your 6. Whereas I said before you hit the ball, you would basically be, you'd be lying. You'd be lying 6. So in the teeing area on the, oh yeah, right, I stuffed that one up. You can see that I'm sick because I haven't even got this all ready, but I had to do it. Had to turn up. Stuart hits one off the tee, hits provisional onto the fairway because he thinks his original ball is lost. He searches for 3 minutes and doesn't find his original ball. He then finds his original ball as he's walking to his provisional. He takes an unplayable. He makes a stroke at the drop ball. How many strokes? 1 tee shot, 1 lost ball penalty, provisional ball that he made a stroke at on the tee, 2 stroke penalty for drop ball because Stuart was not permitted to take an unplayable ball. Right, and I gave Stuart an unplayable there, which is not correct. He's basically just, you can't take an unplayable for the original ball because that's not the ball in play. So you basically just, it's like you've just taken a ball and you're just dropping it over there somewhere. But the real ball is the one. The real ball is the provisional. So you haven't decided to take an unplayable because you can't. Anyway, that was an IVOR. What is it when you can't remember you're an IVOR? IVOR with an O, Justin. But named after the great, Roscoe and I got onto it last year, named after the great, what did he call him? Like, he starter on the European Tour, Ivor Robson. But what is it called when you can't remember your Ivor? I guess an Ivor on an Ivor. Just an observation. My understanding is that you can't use tools to help you during a round. Example, striker pads on irons is illegal because they give you information. Sorry, I don't know what striker pads are. You'd have to be a little bit more specific, and I'm not trying to be rude as to what tools, because there are things that you are allowed to use. There are tools that you are allowed to use. You can use a distance measuring device unless the committee states that you can't. But yeah, give me some more information and I'll try and help you out with that. Jerry, we made a huge area of fairway as GUR as it was so wet and saved much time. Okay, Jerry, you got to give me some more information on this. And the reason not because I don't know what you're talking about, I know exactly what you're talking about, but I want to hear the story. Because people ring up, or, when I used to, or people query me and they say, I hit my ball down the fairway, couldn't find it, we knew it was embedded in the fairway, do I get free relief? Well, the answer is no. If you can't find it, then you're not going to get free relief. Oh, but it was, the whole area was GUR. Well, A, did you see the ball splash? Did you see some temporary water? Are there facts to get you to 95%? No, it was just really muddy. It's unfortunate, but, possibly a thing is that... gotcha. Possibly a thing is... the committee can make it GUR or should make it GUR, but this is why I wanted more information, Jerry. Did you put a drop zone in, or did people go to the start of the fairway? I mean, if you make the whole fairway, basically you can't drop it in the GUR, so you have to go back to the start where it last crossed. So a 200 metre drive could effectively, be 50 metres off the tee or something like that because you've lost your ball. I guess it's better than just losing your ball, but maybe a committee could make the whole fairway GUR, but then have drop zones along the way. James, how much water to be inside a bunker before we can take the full relief out of the bunker? Under the rules, you can't take free relief out of a bunker, even if it was, a foot under. It would have to be deemed GUR. It would have to be taken out of play or whatever. But the thing I would say to that is, great idea to play two balls if it's stroke play. I mean, if it's match play and the bunker was fully saturated, there was no dry spots at all, I'd just say I'm taking free relief, and if the opponent didn't like it, well, he can make a claim, she can make a claim. They might not like it and they'll say, oh, well, I'm making a claim, you're going to play from a wrong place. Well, we'll sort it out with the committee afterwards, and the committee are either saying, oh, that's definitely GUR, or no, you got to play it as it lies, or take the one stroke. You can take a one stroke penalty to get out of the bunker if your ball is in temporary water, abnormal course condition. Right, just an observation. I know exactly what you're talking about now. Striker pads, so golf impact tape is the exact term. Yeah. So golf, anytime you basically, and this is 99.99%, if you put anything on on the face of your club, it's going to be non-conforming. Okay. There's very, very few things that you would be allowed to put on the face of your club. On the head, slightly different. On the shaft, slightly different. But certainly, even when you've been working in a golf simulator, and then you leave the little dots, if that golf simulator has little dots, you leave the little dots on and start your round. You're most likely going to have a non-conforming club there. Jerry, 90% of balls were in bedding and we had 3 spotters. If they found the ball, got in better ball relief, and if not found, went to where it last crossed. Yeah, perfect. And so I'm thinking, Jerry, that it was around the 200, 240 mark, and so they got to drop at the 200 rather than making the whole fairway GUR type thing. Just an observation. So if I have oil markers, I hope I've said that wrong, right, to colour my ball, it leaves a mark on my club face. Does that mean I can't use those oil markers to colour my balls? Oh, that's an interesting one. It would depend on, in that case, it would depend on your intent. If you've placed something on your ball to give you information as to whereabouts you struck the ball on your club face, you're most likely going to be breaching a rule there. I never actually thought of that one. But if you're just doing it, it's probably like the flags on the bags situation. If you're doing it just to show off your colours and support your team, then flags on bags are okay. But if you're doing it to try and work out which way the wind's blowing, then it's a breach. So in this case, if you're deliberately putting it on there on the ball, so that you can understand where you hit it on the club, I would say that wouldn't be right. But I'll look into that one a bit more. That's quite interesting. If my ball rolls up to a chain link fence at the boundary of the course and the pin is perpendicular to the fence, if I take an unplayable 2 clubs no closer to the hole, will still be unplayable. Yes, possibly. So that small arc, and the further away from the club, the further away from the flagstick, the smaller that arc gets. So if you're 200 metres, by the end of the 2 clubs, you might still only be a ball width, whereas 10 metres, you might be able to get to 1.5 foot or something like that. So in that case, Justin, the 2 club lengths might not be your best option. Your best option may be to go back to where you last played from. Now, I had one more that I want to cover, and then I think maybe a couple more questions. But then I would probably need to go. I'm running out of energy very fast. Which one was it? No. Maybe it was this one. Oh, hey mate, is it illegal to have notes of tips about your swing? There's no just going to reply, hey, thanks Jerry. Sorry guys, I'm just going to let just an observation know. There's no, I haven't got a donation, but you can donate in the super chat or become a member. It's pretty cheap. It's like $2 a month or something like that. So I usually do some kind of mental health donation, and actually we'll probably have longest day. So that's where we try and play 72 holes in a day. Joey and I did it last year. But, become a member for $2 a month on YouTube. That would be great. But I appreciate any kind of support my way. Now, getting back to the question for those hanging on the edge of their seat. Is it illegal to have notes of tips on your swing? No, it's not. You can have, if you see people have the yardage books, they could have notes on their swings, their swing. I've seen sellotaped tips on someone's swing to the top of their top of the head of their club. Now, if it doesn't change the performance characteristics of the club, that's okay. I think some people have, how far I hit this club along their shaft, so they might have, an 8 iron, or if I hit it full swing, I might hit 150, 3/4, 135. And then halfway I might hit it 95 meters or something like that. So there's no issue with having swing tips or swing notes. Justin, how about using someone else's notes? That would be fine, Justin. I'm not sure why that would help you, but if it was along the lines of swing easy, turn the hips, I mean, these are all things that you can come up with anyway. So, no, that would be totally fine, Justin. I want to see that. Like, let's create a situation where someone's got other notes. Isn't that like getting advice? Well, that's a good question you ask. If the person opened the book and went and showed you to try and help you out for your next shot, yes, that would be considered advice. But if you you read the notes and they had no, if the book was left open, I know this is getting stupid, but if the book was, yeah, exactly, Jerry. If the book was left open and you just went and read it, that's going to be sort of similar to the towel situation where, sorry, it's not going to be like the towel. It's where you don't have intent, you're just reading something, see what it is. But if you deliberately open the book because it says, check out these swing notes, and it helps your next shot, then possibly that's advice. I mean, that's a really grey area, that one. Right. I think any other questions, guys? I think I'm going to call it quits. I've been in bed all day. Love the fact that everyone's turned up. Still huge supporters. Thursday night, 8:30, 8 o'clock in Adelaide, 5:30 in Ontario. Justin, I was thinking more course notes. Again, it's all to do whether it's influenced your play. So, if the book is open and it says make sure you hit down the left-hand side on the second hole, then that would be okay. But if someone came over and said, check out my notes on how to play this hole, they would most likely be penalised for giving advice. So, yeah, that would be an interesting one to actually see. Thank you, everyone. Hope Justin, hope that I've sort of put the mic down here close to my shoulder, so hopefully it didn't work too bad. But then again, I feel horrible, so probably don't want to have it high quality on my face anyway. Appreciate everyone jumping on. Thank you very much, and hope you play some golf this weekend and have a great week.